Namaste, good afternoon, and a warm welcome to our speaker, Mr. Viiveck Verma, past chairs and esteemed members of our entrepreneurial community. It is with great pleasure and excitement that I welcome you all today as we embark on a new chapter on our journey of innovation and growth. As entrepreneurs, we thrive on the thrill of venturing into new territories, pushing boundaries, and embracing change. And today, I am thrilled to launch the announce of a new vertical, MindShare, that promises to revolutionize the way we communicate. For everyone has their own story, and it is important to share it with ease, with confidence, how to captivate your audience, and master body language. This new vertical represents an unparalleled opportunity for each and every one of us to expand our horizons and seize untapped potentials. It is an opportunity to hone our skills, to refine our craft, and to challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible. Now more than ever, the world needs visionaries, pioneers, and change makers. And I have no doubt that each and every one of you possesses the passion and the determination. As we embark on this exciting journey together, let us remember that our success lies not only in our individual endeavors, but also in our collective collaboration and support. I urge you to approach this new vertical with enthusiasm, with determination, and with a steadfast belief in your own abilities. Let us seize this opportunity to redefine the landscape of how we communicate and to make a lasting impact on our audience. Let us embark on this journey together with courage, with conviction, and with an unwavering commitment to excellence. Members, you can type your questions in the chat box, which we will take up after explaining the methodology of MindShare. Thank you. Over to Chairperson Priya Gazdar for her address.
Namaste. Thank you all for joining us here this afternoon. An afternoon that may prove to be just the shot in the arm you need to get over your apprehensions of speaking in public and on stage. One of the most adored leaders, did you know, was terrified of public speaking. Can you guess who it was? As unbelievable as it seems, it was none other than Mahatma Gandhi. During his university time, he used to suffer from panic attacks when he had to make a presentation. So much so that he had to ask someone else to stand in for him. Later, in his first case as a lawyer, the panic attack struck again, and he actually abandoned the courtroom because he could not think of any question to ask. However, we all know what happened when he found a cause close to his heart. The world took notice when he spoke. Generations later, the world still quotes him. The main reason most of us fear public speaking is because we feel judged. The MindShare program, being brought to you jointly by FLO and FLO Hyderabad, is designed to help you overcome any apprehension you may have about public speaking. It will also help you hone the art of crafting a compelling narrative on any topic that moves you, touches you, inflames your passion. You will be guided in this creative journey by Mr. Viiveck Verma, a TEDx Hyderabad Curator and Advisor. And believe you me, you're in the best of hands. Supporting you all along will be the MindShare teams of FLO and FLO Hyderabad, led by Nanda Rao and Ishika Agarwal, ably assisted by Chandni Agarwal, Srinidhi Dabriwal, Amrita Agarwal, and Sneha Kedia Goel. So go for it. Do not let anything hold you back from gifting yourself the chance to own the stage. You do owe it to yourself. With that, I will now hand you over to my dear friend and FLO chairperson, Rithi Jain. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Priya. Welcome to the launch of our MindShare program, to our esteemed past chairs and dear members. I'm delighted to see our idea that came to us last year finally come to life. As Margaret Atwood wisely said, a word after a word after a word is power. And we are here to help you harness the power within yourself. Our goal is simple: to empower you to craft compelling narratives, captivate audiences, and shine on the TEDx stage. With interactive sessions, practical exercises, and personalized coaching, we are here to help you unlock your creative potential. So join us in embracing an empowering opportunity to learn from the storytelling mastery of Mr. Viiveck Verma. This exclusive program is curated solely for FLO and YFLO members. With a dedicated focus on quality interaction, we are eagerly seeking enthusiastic participation to ensure that this journey becomes truly enriching for all involved. Now, I'm honored to introduce Mr. Viiveck Verma, a visionary in corporate strategy and entrepreneurship with over 3 decades of experience. Mr. Viveck's journey from C-level executive to startup enthusiast is inspirational. As a curator and licensee of TEDx Hyderabad, Mr. Viveck brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to our program. Through Upsurge Global, he has mentored over 130 startups, leveraging his network for growth. Mr. Viveck's dedication to understanding the intricacies of human mind and behavior is commendable and evident in his pursuit of various certifications, including his certificate as Professional Certified Coach from the International Coaching Federation. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Viveck Verma, whose expertise and insights are sure to enrich our program. Over to you, Mr. Viveck.
Thank you very much, Riddhi. And thank you to all the members and particularly Priya and the organizing committee members. Good afternoon to all of you and welcome to this wonderful and curated program that we are going to be running. I'm going to be facilitating, but being run exclusively for you by Vicky and YFLO. We will, over a period of the next 30 minutes, I'll take you through an orientation program where I will guide you on why this is something which is an important skill and where all can it benefit. And I can tell you from my experience of working with speakers for the last 10 years, this is going to be our 10th year for TEDx Hyderabad. Typically, we work with close to 200 speakers. I think it makes your life so much easier, and you'll realize as I run through my slides and share with you about the power of public speaking and the power of storytelling. These two go hand in hand. I hope you can all see my screen. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do is spend the next 30 minutes essentially around storytelling for public speaking. And I think I want to start by sharing with you that all of us and all human beings have a story. I think what differentiates some of us from the others is our ability to be able to tell the story. And I can say this with confidence because when we work with a lot of the speakers, not just on the TEDx platform, but even otherwise, I do work with a lot of people who are looking at public speaking. Finding the story is what the curation process is all about. And once we are able to share our story, it makes a world of difference. The differentiation lies in our ability to be able to tell a story. Now, let's just run through these slides. I've tried to keep it fairly easy, simple for us to understand the power of public speaking, and we'll get into more detail as we run through this program, and we'll towards the end take you through what the next steps of this program are going to be. Now, let's start with, what are stories? Because a lot of times we are confused. What are stories? Where do these come from? Where do these originate in our minds? And I think as we were talking a little earlier about children, they all start with children memories, childhood memories. And a lot of stories that we hear from people are coming from memories that got created in their childhood. And I'll come back to that in a little while. The stories also come from our creativity and imagination. A lot of times our human mind is so fertile that we are thinking about what else can be thought through, what else can we do creatively, what else can be done. And we are kind of imagining stories from there. A lot of our stories come from our experiences. life experiences. Life is the best university all of us go to. From the time we take birth to the time we are on this earth, we are going through lots and lots of experiences. And many of our stories come from the experiences that we. And last but not the least is from our awareness and knowledge. We are all gaining such a lot of knowledge, such a lot of awareness, lot of interactions that we are doing with people. Each day is a new learning. And from those learnings, we take some lessons, we create some stories for ourselves. Essentially, those are 3 or 4 places from where most of the stories that we look at come from. Now, what is storytelling? They may come from whichever of these 4 sources, but storytelling is the art of using a narrative. How do we build a narrative around those small ideas that we may get? And the whole purpose of this building a story is really to capture people's mind. How do we convey it in such a manner that we can inspire them to take action? Something that is invoked emotional level within the listeners, that they will go out and do something. And it is an art, it is a skill that we need to practice. And I already heard when Priya was talking about that the best of speakers go through these butterflies in the stomach that happen, and we shouldn't be worried about it. And on this picture, you see someone who one would imagine will never have a fear of public speaking. Rana has been a speaker on our platform, and I can tell you that while he is an outstanding human being and a phenomenal speaker, the butterflies in the stomach don't go away, even if it is somebody as powerful as him. I worked with him over 2 months to curate his talk and work with him to kind of get him to practice the talk. And imagine someone like him also needs to do that, because they want to make sure that the story they tell makes the greatest impact. So stories essentially are narratives that we create so we're able to get mind share, as the program itself says here, of our audience and inspire them for doing something. Now, where is this useful? Quite often we wonder that why should we become storytellers? Why is it important for us as human beings to become storytellers? All of us are marketing. A lot of times I meet people who say, I'm not from the marketing field. I am not a marketing professional. Now, I would like to highlight to you that each of us is a marketing professional, because the fact that when we are speaking to somebody else and we want them to listen to whatever we are speaking, it may be about our business, it may be about our idea, it may be about our association, it may be about a passion, it may be about our family, it may be about our temple, it may be about anything else, is essentially marketing. I am wanting to tell you about something, and I want you to understand about the concept I have in my mind. Right now, I'm talking to you, I am marketing public speaking to you. So we are all, in a certain sense, marketing all the time. And storytelling is a very powerful tool in the marketing space. If you are thinking of becoming a writer, I started this journey 10 years ago, speaking and then curating the speeches. And about 4 years ago, I started writing an article. I write an article a week. So my own journey has been in this space. I have a book which is ready, which will be released in June. If any of you are thinking of becoming a person who wants to get into the book writing or into writing, then storytelling is another fantastic thing you need to do. Some of you I know are already in the filmmaking or associated with that. This is another phenomenal skill that will be useful there. Education and learning. And we work with a lot of colleges and schools to see how our teachers can become better storytellers. Because everything that they are teaching, if they can teach it in the manner of a story, imagine the power our children will have when they will learn that. So storytelling is very useful even in education. And needless to say, public speaking. Public speaking, whether in the space of membership or in politics or in corporate world or any world, anywhere where you are trying to convey something to a public. Advocacy and activism. In case you're working on a cause, and again, it was referred earlier that if you have a powerful cause, then that's a story you can take and make a difference, because you can influence policy, you can influence decisions that get made. Culture and tradition sharing, I think needless to say, the more we are able to build stories around our culture and share them, the world will know better about them. Today, if you see, there is a lot more knowledge about many aspects of our culture than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, because lots of people are coming and curating wonderful stories and sharing those stories about culture, whether it's through movies, through theater, or through stories that are conveyed even in form of public lectures. Last but not the least, personal growth and motivation. If you are able to inspire other people and you can learn from other people both ways, storytelling is a very useful tool in doing both of those. So those are areas where storytelling is very, very useful. Why is it important? While we saw the areas, it is important because it fosters a connectivity and, most importantly, creating an emotional bond. Even if I'm standing on stage and speaking to you, if I can create a personal, emotional connect with my audience, that is when the impact will become so much more powerful, because then it's a human to human connect. And stories are the best way to be able to make that human to human connect. It enhances the brand retention and recall. If you go back and listen to some of, let's say Amul, and I'm sure most of us have seen Amul ads, how they are so contextual, how they are so relevant, and they tell a story. And that's where they have a huge brand recall. And we can do this in our own businesses in terms of how do we tell stories. It humanizes those brands, so it's not just about a corporate culture. It is bringing it to life. It is making it very, very human centric there. Inspires action, as we spoke earlier, that if we can inspire people to take action, and it communicates values, beliefs, and mission. And believe me, working in the corporate world, it's very difficult to communicate your values, your beliefs, and your mission by way of simple statements. Quite often people will not remember them. But if they can be communicated through stories that you build, that this is what branding means to us from a perspective of values, beliefs, and mission, it makes a massive difference. So we know where the stories come from, where can they be used, and what is the importance of storytelling, which I think is a very basic, important part of our storytelling. Now let's take an example and start looking at what we need to do if we want to now ourselves become a storyteller. So let's start with kind of talking to Naina. She may be one of your FLO members from one of the chapters. She's an entrepreneur and she has been invited to give her first public talk. And like most speakers have, she's also having those butterflies in her stomach. She doesn't know what she needs to do. How does she go out and talk about it? She's obviously excited because she's getting an opportunity. And I'm sure each of us will be when we get an opportunity for the first time. But at the same time, she's extremely nervous. And here's where somebody like me is going to work with her to see what she should do in her journey to make her talk, the first public talk she's giving, more successful. So we start talking about the fact that, we need to first understand what is the story that she wants to talk about. Where is the idea? What is the theme of what she wants to communicate? And one of the things that we all need to work on is to understand, when we are giving this opportunity to talk, that what is it that we want to communicate? What's the idea that we want to share? Because it is all about the essence or the central theme of your idea. And that's where it starts. So the first thing that I will talk to Naina about is to understand the idea. What is it that we want? Is it about women empowerment? Is it about safety? Is it about a new technology? Is it about a personal experience and how she overcame that? Or is it about somebody she was inspired by and then she started doing something around it? Or is it about something that she wants to make a difference from a policy perspective and she's doing advocacy? So what's the central idea? And then we start talking about how. Once we have the idea, then we need to start working beyond that compelling theme. The theme is just the starting point. The how of doing that is to really create relatable characters. there are 7 steps in my view of the storytelling. It is about relatable characters. It is about crafting and gripping plot, the 3 C's, and I'll explain each of these 7 steps in more detail. It is about incorporating an emotional arc, which is to create that imaginary imagery in the mind so that people can take those imagery away. It is to add a takeaway because we want action at the end of it. We want to obviously work on our vocal modulation so that what needs to be emphasized is emphasized and what needs to be communicated is communicated. And you've seen that already in the form of Nanda or Riddhi and Priya, in terms of how they also were communicating to you using voice modulation. Very, very important step when we are doing public speaking. And last but not the least, the body language and the stage presence. How you take charge of the stage and how you are the centerpiece for your audience to be listening to. These 7 steps is what we will work with Naina to make her a good public speaker. Now, if you are ready, let's get started. And you imagine yourself to be Naina, and let's work on what we need to do. The first thing, like I said, is to really identify a compelling story. Now, your story could be the James Bond story, or it could be any other story that you choose to bring to your talk. You need to understand who your audience is. Who am I talking to? What are their personas? What is their profile? What are their age groups? What economic background? What educational background do they come from? Because then I can build my story and I can build the components of my story to cater to the audience that I'm talking to. And this is a very, very important step. And I can tell you as a curator for TEDx Hyderabad that best of public speakers, we have to curate this part because what they don't know is my audience. So when they are coming to speak on a TEDx Hyderabad event, they don't know the audience of TEDx Hyderabad. And that's a job of us to curate. And that's the job of a speaker to understand. First step, but very important step. What emotions will your audience connect with? Once you know the persona, once you know the audience that you're talking to, what will connect with them? What will be those few things in your theme, in your story that they will be attracted to? Because I need to then highlight those. Is my theme universal? Because if I'm going to be talking to 100 people, in our case at TEDx, we talk to 3,000 people. But even if we take a smaller group, like we have here, we have 83 people here. Now, is this theme that I'm talking about something which all 83 people can relate to, or at least majority of the people can relate to? If I get too narrow in my talking and I'm only talking to one set of audience, then I lose the balance, even if it's 30 people in the room. And that's not a good method of storytelling. So how do I keep everyone engaged? Not just through body language, but even through the theme itself. And last but not the least, is the theme personal to you? Am I just doing some research from Google and am I going to be talking about it? Or is there a personal connect that I can bring into my theme? Because for that emotional connect, for that bond that we need to form, it's very important that there is a personal connect. Why this topic motivates me, why this inspired by me, why this moved me, why am I talking about it and not somebody else? So that's the first step of that 7 step that we talked about. Now, then we need to develop the relatable characters, like I said, in our story. Who is the protagonist? Who is the person? Because stories are all about characters. And you can be a character in your story. The person who inspired you can be the character in your story. So who are the characters and who you inspired or who you are working with? So who are these characters are very, very important for you to create. And obviously characters means there has to be a backstory. They have to be authentic. And there has to be a bunch of characters. It can't just be one. It can't just be I, me, myself. I got inspired by somebody. I'm doing something which affects other people. So there is a whole series of characters. And how do we create those relatable characters in our story? The 3 C's that I talked about earlier, in every story, there has to be a character, a conflict, and a change. The character, like we said earlier, are those relatable characters. Usually it should involve you in some manner because that's how it becomes personal. Usually there will always be a conflict, that what happened, something happened, and there was a change that was required, which arose out of that conflict. That those are components that we try and bring in each story to make them that much more powerful. Where is that conflict? Is it an inner conflict? Is it an outer conflict? I was in a dilemma. I didn't know what action to take. I got inspired by somebody and then I took some action. Those are components that I can build into my story. And what were the turn of events when I decided something? Sometimes they go well, and that can be a story. Sometimes they don't go well, and that can be a story by itself too. Just the way you all know TED Talks, which is all about success, which is all about the positive side of things. I want all of you to know that there is also a platform called Fail Talks. And this is run by nobody less than the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MIT runs a platform called Fail Talks. They invite speakers to just come and talk about their failure. I have been on that platform. I have spoken about my failures. So stories are not just about success. Stories are as much about your failures too. And most importantly, what difference did it make for you? And what can the audience take away from your story? Quite often, that is the most important element that, oh, I have heard XYZ story, and this is the lesson I can learn and take away so I can become a better human being or better decision maker or, better performer or a better, leader in our own lives. Step 4 is really to then bring some emotion into the story. Now we have a theme, we have the characters, we have that conflict and the change that we had. Now we need to bring some imagery in terms of how that is being looked at from the audience perspective. And I'm sure at least many of us from our generation will remember this scene from the movie when Amitabh is talking to God. That, how do we bring that emotion, that dialogues, so that that personal connect happens? As a speaker, if you go and speak just about the topic without bringing you as the human being into the talk, very, very unlikely that the audience will connect with you. They want to see the person behind the talk. So if they are talking to Viiveck Verma, they want to know a little bit about Viiveck Verma to know that he is also a human being, just like me. He is not some supernatural, ET or a character like that. He's just another human being. He has his own emotions. He has their own downs and ups in life. He has his own butterflies in his stomach. So we need to bring that whole emotional connect. And using that emotional connect, I need to see that I'm connecting with my audience. If I realize when I am on stage that I'm talking, I'm making an emotional connect, and I'm not able to connect with my audience, then I need to be able to change my gear because the emotional connect needs to happen with my audience. And it will have to be happening with some part of my audience. This is a place where you can't do it with all, let's say, 100 people in the room. And am I creating enough visual relatability? Am I using my body language, using my eye contact, using the slide or the pictures that I am creating in my presentation? Am I creating enough visual relatability with my audience? And am I taking the audience in the journey with me? And that's when we hear the word that I was spellbound. I didn't know what was going on because those 10 minutes I was just listening to the speaker and I didn't know what was going on around me. And I was in that journey with the speaker. So how do we create that is another step that we need to work on from a storytelling perspective. All stories should have a takeaway. If any of you've heard or listened to Simon Sinek, who's another phenomenal public speaker and talks about the why that all of us needs to have in our life. And that's a simple takeaway from his talk, his books, his speaking. So what is it that I'm sharing with people? What new insights, perspectives What am I telling them about my learnings? What is it that they will get inspired to be able to walk away with something that they will do in their life because they heard my experience, my learning, and my perspectives. And not only will they do it in their lives, but how do they do it with people around them? So that's how the thing will spread, and we want that spread to happen. More and more people to kind of get there. Vocal modulation, we need to really work on rehearsing our talk because the voice modulation is very important. We need to be able to know where we emphasize the words and where we don't emphasize the words, where we take a pause. In storytelling, one of the very important things is that when you have delivered a powerful, uh, topic, a powerful message, you need to take a pause because the audience need to absorb that powerful message and connect with it at an emotional level. Now, if I don't take that pause, I'm not allowing you to connect with me at an emotional level. You are trying to connect with me, and I have already moved to the next topic. And you are confused, saying, "Oh, I'm still connecting to what you just talked about, and you already moved ahead." So this pause, this vocal modulation are very, very important in the public speaking space. The speed at which we talk. Quite often, we think, oh, I have 10 minutes and I have so much to deliver, so let me talk fast. You need to be able to talk fast, talk slow, take a pause, modulate your voice, and do a combination of all of these. And for doing this, I need to be able to control my breathing and control my vocal cords, which will only come through practice. Because if I'm talking for 20 minutes, I have to continue to breathe, and my breathing can't interfere with my speaking. So, managing the entire vocal modulation. And last but not the least is my body language. How do I come across to you on the stage in terms of my presence? And this is in my coaching work that I do. Executive presence or stage presence is an area in itself where most leaders need a lot of work. That when I am talking to you, how do I really get your full attention to me? How do I get for that few minutes? How do I really get your attention so that you are captivated, you're listening to my message? For doing that, am I moving my hands too much? Am I walking around too much? So, and as you see, if you watch TED Talks, you see a red dot. That is just to help our speakers understand that that is the space they can operate in, so that they don't walk too much. Quite a few speakers have a tendency to walk the stage, and when you do that, you lose the attention because the audience is kind of going left to right and losing attention. Have I decided to use the right attire? Sometimes this becomes a big challenge because I think I'm going on the stage for the first time. I get too formal. For example, in case of men, I wear a necktie for the first time in my life, and I'm extremely uncomfortable with the necktie because the neck is getting choked, and as my voice is starting to get affected, I'm getting very uncomfortable. So it's not okay. Just you need to be in a comfortable attire and footwear that you do, because the power is in your talk, not in your attire. Yes, you need to be dressed appropriately, so you can't go up in some clothes which are inappropriate there. And are you wearing accessories? One of the things to remember from a public speaking perspective, most places you have these thin, slim mics which come in front of your mouth. And especially when I'm talking to women, one of the biggest challenges we face in public speaking with women is that mic and their earrings interfere. And when you are speaking, the earring, if it's a long earring, hanging, dangling earring that you're wearing, it starts disturbing because the mic starts getting a very jarring noise that comes because the earring is rubbing against the mic. So things like that. Am I wearing accessories which are making me uncomfortable or noisy? And can I be in that attire for the day? Because sometimes your talk may be in the afternoon, maybe after the third speaker, after the fifth speaker. I feel comfortable now, but it is in a while, I'm extremely uncomfortable by the time I go on stage. And then this becomes a big challenge because I've not been comfortable. So those 7 steps are very, very important. And I'll give you a small glimpse. I'm sure many of you will recognize the face that you're seeing here. This is, for those of you who don't, this is Monica Lewinsky, the lady who got famous for all the wrong reasons a while ago. She's given a very, very powerful TED talk, and I've just picked a small 1-minute clip out of that talk to highlight some of these 7 steps that we've done. So let's just listen to her for a few minutes to understand all the way from theme to the body language, and we'll come back to that. It's about 1.5 minutes. So if all of you can kind of listen to this talk, and we'll come back and continue the session.
Let me paint a picture for you. It is September of 1998. I'm sitting in a windowless office room inside the office of the Independent Counsel, underneath humming fluorescent lights. I'm listening to the sound of my voice on surreptitiously taped phone calls that a supposed friend had made the year before. I'm here because I've been legally required to personally authenticate all 20 hours of taped conversation. For the past 8 months, the mysterious content of these tapes has hung like the sword of Damocles over my head. I mean, who can remember what they said a year ago? Scared and mortified, I listen. Listen as I prattle on about the flotsam and jetsam of the day. Listen as I confess my love for the president and, of course, my heartbreak. Listen to my sometimes catty, sometimes churlish, sometimes silly self being cruel, unforgiving, uncouth. Listen deeply, deeply ashamed to the worst version of myself.
As you saw here, you could see that pause that she took at a few places in her talk. You saw her voice modulation. You can see her eye contact with the audience. You can see her body language in her talk. And she's talking about something extremely personal. For those of you who know the story, extremely personal. There can't be anything more personal than going up on stage and talking about that. But having said that, she's kind of relating on that with the audience to be able to connect with the audience to understand that story. For those of you who have not watched this TED Talk, I would very strongly urge you to go and watch. This is just a 1-minute clip, but it is a proper TED Talk available. If you search for Monica Lewinsky on the TED YouTube channel, you will get to see that, and you'll get to see many others. But this one particularly, I felt is using her skills very, very well. Now, if we've learned those 7 steps, we've seen someone who's practiced that. Some tips from my perspective of being in this space for the last 10, 15 years now. We get carried away by slides quite often, and you would see in my own slides, very little content on the slides, a lot of space, because we don't want to lose attention. In a virtual environment, it is still okay. If I was doing this physically, my slides will have even lesser content because I want the attention on me and not on my slides. So we should use it to the best of our advantage. Practice, 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 and some more practice. That's the only way it works. Maintain a structure. Your talk should have a structure. What's the opening? What's the main message? What's the ending? What's the message I want to give? Avoid paper or notes. Quite often we carry long notes because we've prepared speech and it is kind of verbatim that we want to speak. Best to avoid speaking verbatim. Maintain eye contact and follow up with the audience to know the impact. Very important step for public speakers to be able to, after the talk, follow up with the audience to understand what is it that they took away. Did your message really land on them or not? Now, after learning all of this and the tips, what happened to Naina? She went on stage. She was nervous, but she managed her nervousness, went on stage. She was more confident because she knew these tips. and the audience just loved her talk. She was very happy, which is what we want each of you to become. Each of our stories needs to become the story of Naina. Now, if that's the case, that you get just my last two slides, that if you become the Naina, where can you use this? We talked about it at the beginning, but I just want to reiterate that once again. You can use it to become a filmmaker, you can write a book, you can become a social media influencer. Today, that is a massive space, one for you to convey your message, but also financially to earn. Yesterday, I was reading an article and I saw somewhere that on Instagram, social media influencers are earning as much as 10, 12 lakh rupees a month. If you are a good storyteller, imagine that's what you could do. Getting into advertising, becoming a public speaker, launching a new business. Some of you who are looking at entrepreneurial journey, I know most of you are already entrepreneurs, but when you're looking at a new business or a new product, storytelling can help you phenomenally. Being part of the marketing team, like I said, all of us are marketing. Fundraising. Fundraising is a storytelling journey. How do I tell the story to get the emotional connect with my investor so that he or she writes the check and I get the money? And last but not the least, becoming a coach, where you can not just be a storyteller yourself, but also help others to become a storyteller. Just some real life success stories. These are people I have personally worked with. Ramanjanelu GV, he's an agricultural scientist. He gave a TEDx talk with us in 2015. His talk today has 3.6 million views. The first time he gave a talk with 500 people in the room, and he asked at the end the call to action that we talked about, that people should volunteer. Out of the 500 people in the room, 400 people volunteered. His website crashed because his volunteer form just couldn't take what he wanted to do. And you can go and check his talk. It's called Poison on Your Plate. He talks about organic farming and how we should avoid pesticides. Kiran Kanodia, India's first women blade runner. She attended our first event 2015 because of the fact that she had artificial legs. She was so ashamed of herself that she would hide herself in full covered clothes and not talk to anybody. And we worked with her over a 2-year period. She came and delivered her talk in her blades, wearing a skirt. Nothing to be ashamed of that I wear silicone blades, and is doing a wonderful job today as an IT professional, but also as a motivational speaker to many people. Mitti is a movie that a young movie maker made, who came on our stage to change the lives of farmers on farmer suicide. And this was a movie about a village in Maharashtra which was put up for sale. And he worked on this concept and created a whole movie about what are the 15 things you can do to avoid farmer suicide. And I'm sure the last one all of you know. If you don't know, then you should look up a gentleman called Sanjay Toma, who's also called the Vareva chef. And he is a chef who's revolutionized the entire YouTube channel. He runs a channel of his own, which has got 2.5 million views and hundreds of videos on his channel for various things. But if you do go and look him up, look up this particular video where he makes a drunken chicken. He is getting drunk and the chicken is being made, but he's made it in such a humorous and a manner that the audience connects with it beautifully. Just 4 examples. All 4 of these have been speakers on our TEDx platform. And there are many more, like Rana Raghupati, General V.K. Singh. But these 4 stories kind of connect to what we talked about earlier. And with that, I come to the end of my presentation. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And I think the time is for you all to now go tell the world your story, because each of you has a story. Each of us as human beings has a story. And all we need is a platform for us to be able to go and tell the story to the world. So wish you all the best and go tell the world a story. I am here with you over the next few weeks to help you in that journey to become a fantastic storyteller. With that, back to you people at Riddhi or
Thank you.
the MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verma, for lucidly explaining the art of and the power of storytelling and that of public speaking. Now I'm hesitant to speak because I'm not sure if my voice modulation, body language falls within the parameters you have so lucidly explained. Anyway, you're here to coach us.
Can I step in here for a minute?
Yeah.
I want to give him a round of applause. I mean, that was such a nice, engrossing talk, and so, like Nanda said, lucidly, very clearly, very simply told us the importance of public speaking. None of us can think, okay, this is not for me, or I don't require this, or I am not in this profession, or I am not in this business of talking. But you never know where it will help. Even something as simple as going and talking in a parent-teacher meeting for your child, I think it will help if we are able to express ourselves clearly, confidently. So thank you so much, Viiveck.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will quickly run through the 4 stages of our MindShare program and explain about stage 1. Ishika will elucidate about the remaining 3 stages. The process flow for the MindShare program is split up into 4 stages. Stage 1 is the submission of your essays and shortlisting, which will be done by the present chairpersons of FLO and YFLO and past chairs. Stage 2 is where we will have 2 group workshops with the mentor for all the shortlisted participants. In stage 3, the further shortlisted participants will have an exclusive one-on-one session with the mentor. And in stage 4, the grand finale, the participants will present on stage their story at the MindShare event, and it will be a physical event. Now, coming back to stage 1, which is open to all FLO and YFLO members, you will have to upload your essay in the Google form, which we will be broadcasting very soon. The essay should be in 500 to 600 words, and please ensure that the topic you choose has a very personal angle to you, either through your own story or someone very close to you, as we don't want a generic third-person story. We wish to see your personal angle in the essay. We have given a few examples for the essay topics: science, business, education, arts, global issues, technology and innovation, freedom, relationships, sustainable marketing, motivation, beauty, holistic well-being, and so on. These are just to give you an idea and to get you going. It can be any topic that resonates with you, be it a passion, a topical issue, or a current engagement. Choose a topic that is meaningful and relevant to the target audience. Highlight it with personal stories or case studies, and I reiterate, we want to see the personal angle in the story. The evaluation will be based on the following parameters. 1, on how engaging and relevant it is. This parameter will assess how effectively the essay captivates the reader's attention. For example, by engaging anecdotes, thought-provoking questions, etc. The essay should stay focused on the subject, avoiding tangents and unrelated discussions. 2, depths of exploration. This parameter considers whether the essay delves deeply into the subject matter, offering insights and perspectives beyond surface-level observations. 3, creativity and originality. An effective essay should present fresh perspectives on the topic, whereby stimulating the reader's interest. 4, reflections and insights. This parameter assesses the essay's ability to provide insightful reflections on the topic and whether the essay offers meaningful conclusions or insights that prompt further thought or reflections. The essay will be evaluated by a jury, and conforming to the highest levels of fairness and transparency, the names of the authors of the essay will not be appended when sent to the jury. In effect, the jury members will not know who is the author of that essay. Thank you. Ishika will now give details about the remaining 3 stages.
So after being shortlisted with stage 1, you will receive a payment link and enter stage 2 of the program. Here we will have 2 dynamic in-person workshops. In the first workshop, you will hear from our mentor, Mr. Viiveck, as he dives deep into the strategies and techniques that would help you become a more impactful storyteller and orator. He has already shared 7 steps so far, and we want to learn so much more. You will learn how to effectively structure your stories, captivate your audience, utilize vocal variety, master body language, and establish an emotional connection. In the second workshop, our learning becomes hands on. You will bring the theoretical concepts to life, reflect on the insights from our last session, and prepare a short pitch of 2 to 3 minutes. The goal here is to help you confidently command the stage. After these 2 workshops, each participant will give an 8-minute presentation to Mr. Viiveck and the jury panel, and you will receive constructive feedback. And based on this pitch, our finalists will be selected for the next stage. As a finalist, you will benefit from an exclusive tailored one-on-one session of 45 minutes with Mr. Viiveck. And post this, you will submit an 8-minute video, which would be assessed by Mr. Viiveck. This is your rehearsal for the final pitch. And now on to the much awaited stage 4, the grand finale. We will have a physical event open to all the members where the finalists will present their pitches. And outstanding speakers may also get a chance to speak on the TEDx platform. The one thing that you have that nobody else has is you. Your voice, your mind, your story, your vision, and we want to hear it. So please apply, please register. Let's now move on to the Q&A session. Please share your questions in the chat box and Chandni will take it up for you. So over to you, Chandni.
Good evening, everyone. Would love to pick up any of the questions that come my way. Please do type it into the chat box. Miss Anil Kaur has asked for the timetable, which we will share with you as soon as the meeting is completed.
Chandni? Yeah.
Yes.
We will be releasing the Google form for participation right after this event. And you can start sending your essays of 500 to 600 words. You can upload it as a PDF in the Google form, giving all the other details that we have asked for, which are pretty sketchy. Post that, we'll give you 10 days to send in your entries. So that is the first stage. So April 23rd, by then, please send in your entries.
And if I may, Chandni, I can pick up the other question which I see from Mrinalini.
Sure,
will
please.
we be continuing the same subject? So Mrinalini, the choice is left to each of you. You can choose to say the same topic on which you wrote your essay can be the topic that you pick up for your stage 2, stage 3, and then for the final stage. Or if you think that from the learning that you have got, you have a better story or you have a more powerful story that comes to your mind as you go through this process, you can change the story too. It is not mandatory that the topic that you speak on has to be the same as the one you wrote your essay on. I hope that answers your question. You can change your topic. And another question, I see a little more details on framing the essay. I think it is about the power of storytelling. So in 500 to 600 words, if you go through those 7 stages we talked about, what's the central theme? What are your characters? How do you bring them to life? What's the conflict? What's the change? What did it inspire you to do? And what does it inspire the others to do? So the only 1 or 2 things that you may not use very much in the written essay is your voice modulation and your body language. But the other 5 things that we talked about are all relevant. And storytelling, the reason why we are doing it in this manner is also because storytelling is not just public speaking. Storytelling is as much about writing your story as it is about speaking your story. And in a public speaker's life, the first step is always writing your story, because that's when you can structure. And as you heard me say earlier, put a structure to your talk. Writing is the best manner for you to put a structure to your talk. So writing is as much a part of storytelling as public speaking is. So I hope that gives you a framework. It's about 500 to 600 words. And if you go back, for those of you who have not written before, it's roughly about 1 A4 page if you were to write by hand. Obviously in the normal handwriting if you write, and today most of us will type it. So it's very easy because the word will give you a word count and you know that you have how many number of words. The time when we started writing, you wrote and then you had to personally, physically count the words to know. Now technology makes it much, much easier.
Before the question comes up or even to clarify, you could take the help of ChatGPT, but the story has to be yours.
Has to be personal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it is there,
Also,
you can't deny its
that's
presence, and in our lives, it is going to be all pervading soon. So there's no point in us saying, don't go to ChatGPT, but the story it throws up, for that, you have to give the right kind of commands and prompts. So that is very important.
Miss Madhulika has a really interesting question for you, Mr. Viiveck. She would like to know that while writing a story, she might want to write her personal struggle to be relatable. But when she moves on to the public speaking, she might want to be more motivational and solution oriented. Is this okay?
absolutely. Absolutely. See, the purpose in both, when you are talking about a personal struggle to make it relatable, I'm assuming you will make sure that there is a takeaway for the audience who will read your essay, because that is essential, that they understand your personal struggle and it is relatable to them, but there is something they can take away from your experience. And similarly, you've already identified and said that when you speak, you want it to be solution oriented and motivational, which means there is a takeaway essentially already there. So solution is a takeaway, and you're going to be able to inspire them to take action. So absolutely, Madhulika, it can be.
Another very interesting question. Miss Anil Kaur would like to know if she can write in her mother tongue or at least use a few words in her mother tongue.
I think a few words should be okay, but by and large, the article should be in English. But sure, for making sure that the essence is communicated, if you think a few of the colloquial terms or mother tongue is required, feel free.
And finally, Miss Arshia Afsar would like to know how many people will be selected from the writing stage.
It depends on the submission. So we are ready to take the whole program throughout the year. We will divide it if we have many entries.
Yeah.
So we're open to how many ever. We have a member base of 1,200. We are open to it.
Thank you so much. That is all the time we have. Thank you, Riddhi, Mr. Viiveck, and Priya.
Thank you.
I will now pass on the mic to Miss Amrita for the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of FLO and FLO, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Viiveck Verma for gracing us with his enlightening session today. I also want to express our sincere appreciation to the past chairs for honoring us with their presence. Your continued support and guidance are invaluable to us. Our esteemed audience, your active participation has truly made today's event a success. Your enthusiasm and engagement drive us to strive for excellence. We urge every one of you to seize the opportunity and actively participate in the MindShare program. Together, we can achieve great things. Thank you.